After a couple of hours, I stumbled upon an old, overgrown trail I didn't remember from my childhood. Curiosity piqued, I decided to follow it. The path was narrow and winding, and the deeper I went, the denser the forest became. The sounds of the outside world faded until all I could hear was the rustling of leaves and the occasional chirp of a bird. Eventually, the trail led me to a clearing. At its center stood an ancient oak tree, its gnarled branches stretching towards the sky. There was something both majestic and eerie about it. As I approached, I noticed a small, weathered cabin nestled against the tree's massive trunk. It seemed out of place, as if it had been forgotten by time. I felt a chill run down my spine, but brushed it off as the result of the cool autumn air. I took a few photos of the cabin and the tree, then decided to take a closer look. The cabin's door was slightly ajar, and curiosity once again got the better of me. Pushing the door open, I stepped inside. The cabin was dimly lit, with only a few rays of sunlight piercing through the cracks in the walls. Dust motes floated in the air, and the scent of mildew was strong. The interior was sparse: an old wooden table, a couple of chairs, and a small, empty bookshelf. It seemed like no one had lived there for decades. As I explored, I noticed something strange. Carved into the wooden table were words. "Help me." The letters were rough and uneven, as if they had been gouged into the wood in a hurry. I felt another chill, this one more pronounced. Suddenly, the door slammed shut behind me, plunging the cabin into darkness. Panic surged through me as I fumbled for my flashlight. When I finally turned it on, the beam illuminated the small room, but the sense of dread remained. I tried to open the door, but it wouldn't budge. My heart pounded as I looked around for another way out. Then I heard it, a faint whisper, barely audible but unmistakable. "Help me." The voice seemed to come from the walls themselves, echoing around the small cabin. I spun around, trying to pinpoint its source, but there was no one there. Fear gripped me as the whisper grew louder, more insistent. "Help me!" Desperation set in. I pounded on the door, shouting for help, but my voice seemed to vanish into the oppressive silence of the forest. The whispering continued, now joined by other voices, all pleading, all desperate. "Help us! Help us!" The room grew colder, and I could see my breath in the dim light. The flashlight flickered, then went out, leaving me in complete darkness. I felt a presence closing in around me, the air thick with an unseen menace. The whispers grew into a cacophony of voices, their pleas merging into a haunting chorus. In the darkness, I could feel something moving towards me, a cold, malevolent force. I stumbled backward, tripping over the chair and falling to the floor. The voices were deafening now, and I covered my ears, trying to block them out. "Help us! Help us!" Just when I thought I would lose my mind, the door burst open, flooding the cabin with light. I scrambled to my feet and rushed outside, gasping for breath. The whispers ceased the moment I crossed the threshold, replaced by the normal sounds of the forest. I didn't stop running until I reached the main trail. My heart still pounded in my chest, and my mind raced with what I had experienced. The sun was setting, casting long shadows across the path, and I knew I needed to get out of the woods before nightfall. I finally made it back to my car,